What if the things I'm trying to attract into my life contradict each other? For example, what if I'm trying to attract weight loss and cheesecake, and I want them both just as much? Do they cancel each other out? Should I focus on just one, or can I have both? Seems like a contradiction, doesn't it? We think this is the best question that has been presented to us, maybe ever. Because you want freedom, but you also want motion forward. They are not opposites. You want big desires, but you don't want the negative emotion that is present when you're launching them. This is why we want you to embrace and adore every emotion on your emotional scale. And let's not call some emotions bad or wrong and other emotions good or right. Let's call them indicators of where you're at in relationship to something. Both the weight loss or the trimmer physical apparatus and the cheesecake are topics or subjects. So that's what trips you up when you are approaching your creation from the subject or topic point of view rather than from the emotional or point of attraction point of view. When you're thinking about the emotion or the feeling, you can find harmony in both the cheesecake and the weight loss, because there is not much more satisfying if it is something that your palate appreciates than the depth of the taste of cheesecake. It's not slight or subtle. It's rich. And it's not like water. It doesn't get in your mouth and out of your mouth with no sticking. The cheesecake sticks around. It gets all over your tongue, all over your taste buds. In other words, cheesecake is really something worth savoring. And savoring is a feeling, it's an emotion, and it's satisfying. And it is not a contradiction from the satisfaction that you have in the movement in your body, the flexibility of your body, the litheness of your body, the good feeling of your body. So, if you can get to the essence frequently of why cheesecake is satisfying and let yourself feel the satisfaction without the guilt. In other words, guilt is far down on this emotional scale. It's down there almost to the bottom. It's 21. Satisfaction is way up there with contentment. It's number 7. And ecstasy, which cheesecake can bring you, is all the way to the top. Are you getting a sense of what we're talking about? Feel the satisfaction. Decide before you eat it that you're going to eat it, and decide that you're really going to enjoy it. You're not eating it to deliberately sabotage your weight loss plan. Not deliberately. You're eating it because you remember the satisfaction of it in your mouth and on your tongue. Yes? Let's go a little deeper here. What if cheesecake doesn't feel like satisfaction to you? What if the last 200 or 300 times you've eaten it, you felt guilt? And what if, when you don't like the way you look, you feel guilt? What if cheesecake and weight loss feel like they're on the emotional scale for you and they're in a not good feeling place? For a lot of you, that's where you've practiced it. You've practiced almost every good tasting everything into guilt. Those who seek to control you, no matter who they are, well-meaning parents or well-meaning but confused anybody, or religions who seek to control you, they've discovered that one of the easiest ways to control you is to make you feel guilty. And it is an effective way to control you. And you know why? Because in guilt, you are far from receiving the clarity of your own inner guidance. You've cut yourself off from the guidance that is specifically lovingly flowing toward you. And you're taking someone else's word for something who may very well be wanting their benefit, not yours. And so this is really worth thinking about, isn't it? We want you to ask yourself, when you think that you have contradictory intentions or desires, how does each of them fall for me on the emotional scale? It could be a fun game for you, another way of using the emotional scale for great advantage and adventure and progress. You could take any subject, like where does a subject, like in this case, we can't sneak up on you with this, but you could say, all right, here's the subject, cheesecake, where is it on the scale? And most of you would say, some would say guilty pleasure, but there's no such thing. It's either guilty or it's pleasure. You got to pick. You got to pick, because you don't feel two emotions at the same time. Now, maybe sometimes you have felt pleasure about it and sometimes you have felt guilty about it, but you got to decide, where does it usually light? And then you on the scale, and then you got to do something about where it usually lights. This is your work. Are things starting to open up in your mind? Are things popping all over the place? If you're hearing this, and so many of you are right now giving yourselves the freedom to romp all over this scale guilt-free. Because like the fuel gauge in your vehicle, it is not offered to you as judgment. It's offered to you as clarification about where you stand in the fullness of your tank. That's all. No judgment. Someone asked, where does judgment fall? And we would put it at number 18 down there with revenge. And the other day we added righteous indignation to that same spot. We would also put rebellious there. So do we answer your question? What if the things I'm trying to attract in my life contradict each other? They just don't. They don't contradict each other. Each one of them has a place right now where you can feel that they belong on this scale. And if it's up there where it feels good, then there's nothing to do about it except savor more of it. And if it's down in the lower parts of the scale that don't feel good, then you know what to do.